All right, let's do this. This episode of Lords of the Storm is brought to you by our sponsors over at Patreon, where you, yes you, can also support the show. Just head over to patreon.com/Lords of the Storm to become a patron today.
Heroes, gather tribute and earn my favor. What do you say? Are you ready to begin?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and I am Greg Gizmozord Parker. You're listening to Lords of the Storm, episode 112, the weekly Heroes of the Storm podcast for you, the true Heroes of the Storm. I am joined tonight, of course, by the Zord Lords themselves, Mr. Kevin Multizord Ellis and Ryan TBK Zord, not Zoid. What happened to Zoidberg, man? And on this week's episode, Heroes 2.0 is officially released along with the announcement of the newest hero that will be joining the Nexus. We have a lot to discuss on upcoming tournaments, and we get you caught up on the latest in the HGC. But first, let's see how the other Zords are doing. Multi, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing quite well. How are you, Gizmozoid?
Doing great now that that's a thing.
Yeah.
So,
Forget the R, man. I'm done with it.
and TBK, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really well. It's been a good day. It's been a good week so far, actually.
It has. It has been a busy week, and we'll continue. The in-game chat has been bumping for Lords of the Storm, so it's good to see a lot of names back that I hadn't seen in there for a while, that maybe took a little hiatus and is back for 2.0.
Oh, yeah. No, there's a definite resurgence of people coming back. It's kind of cool to see. It's even happening among our own friend group. Like, when was the last time you saw like a few of these people on, including original co-host of the show, Thorzord, is back in and playing a bunch now. Like he hasn't played much at all between quitting the show and now. So, yeah, good to see though, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. What have you guys been up to on gaming this week? Obviously, since yesterday, it's been 2.0, but have you guys dabbled in anything else prior, or has it just been all Heroes? TBK?
Nope, it's been all Heroes.
Yep, fair enough.
Fair point.
Multi, how about you?
I actually, I was trying really hard on the Hearthstone ladder, and I still kind of am. But, man, when yesterday dropped, that kind of just was a game changer for me. Like, Heroes is all I want to do right now. I don't even really care about the Hearthstone ladder anymore, which has actually been kind of nice because it's taken the pressure off of the Hearthstone games. So it's a great balance that I'm trying to find here.
Nice.
But yeah, for sure. How about you?
So throughout the week, I was still into Diablo, but of course with 2.0 coming out now, I did play a little bit of Diablo before the show just because that's still a good game to go on when you don't have a lot of time to just kind of do a few riffs real quick. But yeah, Heroes. So yesterday obviously was like Christmas morning. With our loot boxes.
Better than maybe, actually?
Yeah.
More like Christmas evening.
Christmas.
But same principle.
Yeah. So obviously we had a lot of loot crates. I had, I think, 68. So I didn't get the 70 cap, I think is what it was at. But I still had plenty to get there. And I think I ended up with between, after re-rolls and stuff, like between 15 and 20 legendaries, with a couple of those boxes being double legendaries, which is pretty sweet. Most of them were dupes, of course. But ended up with like 6,000 shards. So I was able to go in, obviously craft the Primeval Diablo skin, which both of you got in your crates. Wolverine Karazim, the, what is it? The God King Leoric, which is also great.
Nice.
That is such a sweet skin.
It is. And
such a sweet skin.
I forgot how, because I knew obviously I was going to get those skins, and I was kind of planning for those to all be expensive, but like the Wolverine Karazim and stuff is like 100.
It's 100.
Yeah, and I think the
not
God
bad.
King Leoric was like 400. But that, man, there's so much stuff. So I kind of went through, bought some of the big stuff I 100% wanted, and I've kind of held off now. I think I still have like 4,600 shards, and I'll go in, buy some stuff slowly, but I kind of want to save it for, you never know what else is going to come out. How
Right.
about you
got to
guys?
stockpile a little for the future, for sure. So
Yeah, and I'm kind of saving up. I think I have like 5 loot crates waiting that I may or may not open at some point. We'll see. Yeah, how about you all? Multi, did you get anything good, like sweet, that you didn't have in your loot boxes?
yeah, for sure. Had quite a few legendaries as well. Not that many, I don't think. And I never got a double legendary box, but that's fine. I had some good ones where it was like 2 epics and a legendary, so can't complain. I got a lot of skins that I've really wanted, but never actually wanted to either sink the money or time into, which is actually kind of nice. Such as Asma Dunk. I was super pumped for that one. It might actually get me playing Asmodan. And then, well, of course, you did mention this. I got the Primeval Diablo. I got the regular, original reddish skin tint. And if I'm not mistaken, TBK, you had the black one, right?
I got like midnight something.
Nightmare
Yeah.
Primeval.
Those are both cool, though.
It's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, I don't really care between those two because there's mount synergy for either, and just in general. And this, by the way, this is all about mount synergy now. Like the loadouts, making stuff match. I'm going kind of nuts with it. But anyway, yeah. So I had a good haul though, for sure. Overall, can't complain. The first skin that I actually went in and crafted was that Samus tinted Lieutenant Morales.
I'll never get medic to 10. Yes,
Nailed it.
got it.
Just as good as getting her to 10. So that was satisfying.
Yeah, and you, I had forgotten about some of the skins I had actually got. I finally got one of the Mechatassadar skins, which was sweet. I got a couple of Star Queen, Li Ming, a couple of the
I do need
new
that one.
Ariel skins, which are incredible.
Oh yeah, I got 2 tints of the Sakura
Yeah, that one.
Ariel. Really happy with that. Goes great with that Ghost Speeder, which I already got too.
Yeah, I should have kept track of
If
how
you want
long.
a Ghost in the Shell vibe.
Yep.
Yeah, how long it took me to open all my crates, but it's been a nice amount of time on there. Through rerolls, I think I ended up spending about 40k gold, so a lot of rerolls. TBK, what about you? What have?
So, I actually threw the video of my opening on my YouTube channel so that you can relive me freaking out multiple times. I think there was a few giddy squeals, a few like type things, and it was really good. I ended up getting pretty lucky because the only RNG I'm used to from Blizzard is Overwatch and Hearthstone, neither of which have been very generous to me. But Heroes was incredible. Like, I walked away with double-digit legendaries out of, and I almost got the max loot boxes from just the veteran stuff. And so I was opening them for a little while. But I got the Primeval Diablo skin, like you mentioned. I got one of the new Zarya skins.
Oh,
tints,
nice.
Which was awesome. I got 2 of the new Ariel skin tints. The Shadow Blade and Shadow Paw Lily I've gotten out of that. It was the but I don't care because I'll take it.
For sure.
I'll take it anyways. Tons and tons of shards. I crafted a bunch of like 100 shard things, mostly master skins, because I wanted a few of the tints of master skins for a few people. I got a few decent announcers.
Oh yeah,
The Lily announcer, which I think, other than Brightwing, is my favorite right now. She's like super positive, and so that was I really like that announcer. It's a lot of fun.
Brightwing's positive.
I got multiple Candy King Muradins that I tried to re-roll, but they came back, and then they came back in ones that I couldn't re-roll because I got something else really cool. So now I ended up somehow, even with the re-rolls, getting stuck with 2 Candy King Muradin.
So I unlocked one of the Candy King Muradin tints, and unfortunately, it was like the chocolate. I looked like a turd,
That's the best one.
Poo. And I was like, I wanted the pink, like the colorful one, so I actually re-rolled it. But I may go back and buy it No, I mean, it like
Dude.
legit looks like the Dookie emoji.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. And then you ride around on that the brown vulture. It's just great. It's a great combo. That's one of my favorites.
But so I want to get your all's opinions on this because obviously we had a great time going through loot chests and stuff. And TBK, like you're right, I feel this is the most generous system of all the Blizzard systems, especially
Easily.
with
Oh, yeah.
shards and stuff. Because in Overwatch, it feels like you have to save up forever to get anything.
Yes,
And
very much so.
and it's pretty crazy. And I think that's a couple of reasons. One, there's so much more stuff to get in Heroes. And
I don't know about that.
Oh, there
There
is.
is
Oh,
a
for
lot
sure.
of freaking Overwatch stuff.
Yeah, but there's only 24 heroes, and they've only got so many skins. There's a lot more in 2.0,
Yeah.
for sure. It's the entire back catalog of all the skins, plus all the new features. Oh yeah, there's just so much to go off of.
Mounts.
Which is why being able to
It'd be
backlog and get all of these, chests that we were essentially given for our time that we've sunk into the game so far was extra helpful here. Because if we were starting from scratch at this point, it would take some time.
Yeah.
And it's going to anyway. Like there's still so much left to unlock, at least for me. That honestly, that's going to just keep me playing all the more too. So I think that was obviously part of their plan here.
Yeah. But so obviously, again, we had the great experience, but this is, we are obviously three people who, one, play a lot of Heroes regularly. We stay up to date on the news, the patch notes. So we knew what to expect going in there. On Convert to Raid last night, I was speaking with several people, and I have seen this through Twitter, Discord, different places, of kind of their perspective, and it's much different, and it made me wonder if everything was handled in the best way. The one thing is, people got a ton of skins for heroes they didn't have, which I think that's handled in the correct way, because obviously a lot of those people then went and bought those heroes, which is just great marketing, and it's good to encourage people to play different heroes. But the other thing is this Heroes 2.0 changed so much that if you're a brand new player that just saw, oh, Heroes 2.0 is coming out, let me check it out again, getting into the game, there have been such drastic changes. They didn't know. It was like information overload because the collections tab, there's so much in there. They didn't even know what's, they saw, I got a banner in my loot box. I have no idea what that does. Is that good? Should I re-roll it? Sprays? Oh, I didn't know there's sprays in the game now. Then like the different currencies and stuff, because typically whenever new stuff comes out and the game launches, you'll get those information panels that pop up. And I think there was one of those. I don't remember even necessarily what it was about, but there wasn't a ton of information on it. So I'm interested whether, some of our listeners, if you're just coming back for 2.0, or if you haven't been playing very long. I saw somebody in chat who's only been playing, I think, a couple months. Kind of what your experience was. It information overload for you? Was it enough information for you? Did you know what was going on? And then also kind of just what your guys' opinions are on the new UI, because there's a lot of stuff in there. I think the main thing I don't like is in the loadouts, the mounts is much more difficult to find the mount I want now because of all the added tints of like the horses and stuff, which is cool that they can do that. But are people really going to be using a lot of those horse mounts? Like I almost feel like, oh, there's the horse tab. Okay, now here's like the horse. If I click on that horse, then it pulls up skin tints instead of me having to scroll through all of those to just find the Nexus charger or whatever I'm looking for. So what do you guys think as far as information, trying to look at it from, we don't follow patch notes, we didn't watch the announcement, we just logged in, now there's all this stuff thrown at us. Had you thought of it that way, or I don't know. What's your opinions, TBK?
Go ahead, TBK.
Honestly, I don't know. They kind of gave you the little intro screens as you log back in. Granted, I think they could have done another one or two of them to kind of explain what each of the things in the collection tab means.
Hmm.
So I definitely think it could have been improved upon. I'm not super worried about it just for the fact that all that stuff is cosmetic other than heroes themselves. So it in zero way affects the actual way you play the game. And so if it's not fully explained down to the most minute detail, that's fine. It's obviously better if it is, right? But I don't know. They could have done a little better, but I don't think it's necessarily a terrible thing just because it's all cosmetic stuff.
Mhm.
So I'm not super concerned by that. I will say, and I was going to kind of talk about this a little later. The way the collection stuff is laid out is not the easiest. There's and someone sent in a listener question. We'll talk about it again a little later, but there's not a super easy way to sort stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that I know of to hide things you don't own, which can make the system extremely cluttered because there are heroes or mount sections that do have a ton of skins or mounts in them, like the horses.
I was told there's
a lot of horses.
a drop down. I haven't looked at it yet necessarily, but somebody was telling me there's a drop down for like owned, not owned, things like that.
It may be for browsing, but I didn't see
in
it
the loadout,
at least for loadout.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
where it's important
for sure.
as far as I'm concerned. I kind of want to see everything in the collection because that's where I'm going to go to see, okay, what do I have, what do I don't have. For loadout, because getting a hero, because you have to set it up per hero now. And so over time, you can save loadouts and you can set it up per hero, and that's fine. But it's not like the quickest thing in the world. Like there's no, unless you just take the straight across the board defaults. If you want to customize at all, you've got to at least take 30 seconds to go through and pick stuff and whatnot.
And you should, because it's all about matching colors now.
It's all about I mean, we got all these cosmetics. You might as well use them, right?
Right.
And so there are loadouts you can save, which is cool. You can save up to 3 loadouts per hero.
Yeah.
But I definitely think there's improvement that could be made as far as customization options, sorting options, and such for all the characters.
Yeah, and it's definitely
and just the UI in general.
It's going to be a challenge to do just because it legit is so many things. It's not like there's a super.
I wonder
easy
how many
it.
things there are.
Yeah,
I was just looking it up. Overwatch has over 1,200 items right now.
I would imagine. I'm gonna guess that this has like over 3,000.
Probably.
Just guess. That could be
including all the
it
new
could be
stuff.
high,
I mean,
yeah.
when you include every little emoji pack and everything, oh yeah, not even a question.
There's definitely a lot.
line.
Yeah.
I'm
but it's all
going
good.
to see if I can find like how much it is, because I saw a Reddit thread earlier about a dude who unlocked everything.
Wow.
I think he got his initial loot boxes and spent $400 and got everything.
Man.
Which actually isn't too bad if you think about it, because again,
not in the
going
grand
back
scheme of
back
things.
to the loot model, Heroes by far is the most generous of any Blizzard game, because for Overwatch has tons of cosmetics, right? And not only do they have tons of cosmetics that you can really only get through loot boxes and such, they have a intro price.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pay like 40 or 50 or 60 or however many dollars you spent just to get the game before you can then pay more money to try and unlock cosmetics. Heroes says, boom, we're going to give this to you for free. There's tons of heroes. So in fact, it's much easier to get loot boxes because Overwatch's level scheme is one level scheme for everything.
Yeah.
And it gets higher and higher XP as you go. So the free loot boxes at least get slower and slower. Whereas with heroes, if I want a faster loot box, I just play a lower level hero.
Mm-hmm.
And boom, that's a loot box, because every single hero level equals a loot box. And then at the intervals, like the 25 or the 10 or whatever, there's more loot boxes.
Yep.
So just from a generosity standpoint, there are so many ways to get free things now that you can't really easily do in Overwatch. You can't really easily do in Hearthstone because the gold doesn't come that fast in Hearthstone. Let's be honest. And you've got the only free packs you're getting are the Brawl packs.
Mm-hmm.
And so it can be very expensive there too, because I could open 50 Hearthstone packs and get 2 or 3 legendaries, maybe.
You just got to go infinite arena, man. Just never lose an arena.
Yeah,
and you'll
exactly.
have infinite stuff. It'll be fine.
Okay.
I just love their model. Like,
Yeah.
I think they really hit a sweet spot. And I mean, I hope they hit the sweet spot for them between them getting money and people being happy with the way that the system's set up.
Yeah. So okay, Multi, what about your opinions?
I was going to say, I mean, it's kind of hard to put ourselves in those shoes exactly, so I'm glad you brought up this point for sure. I could see a little bit of confusion taking place for returning people or brand new people. But honestly, this is just another growing pain of this entire system coming online, because give it a month or two and it's just going to be the norm. It's just going to be the system in which we're unlocking things. So, I mean, yeah, for the demographic that just came on for the first time hearing about this and then just getting confused, yeah, I feel for them a little bit for sure. But at the same time, I mean, all this info's out there. You can go out and certainly check out different mediums to find out. You can listen to this show. If you're listening to this show already, you got a leg up on some of these folks. So, I mean, there's that aspect of it. But then the one thing that I could find confusing, like if I was totally coming in out of the blue and had no knowledge at all, would be the currencies for sure. And then also that point about getting skins for characters you don't own. I kind of always found it weird that you could purchase skins for characters that you didn't own in the first place.
Yeah.
So I get
DBK.
people being weirded out by that, especially with, yeah, right? DBK, what was that? Pajamather?
Yeah.
Before Abathur?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I can't believe I did that before the new system. But I was just like, the skin is so cheap.
You did that
I must
years ago
have
at
it.
this point. Yeah. No, but anyway, so like, I could see that. And I mean, these people are sometimes coming from League of Legends, some of these other games where some of those rules don't apply. I mean, you'd have to have the character to have the skin in League, last I checked, if I remember correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. You can play that game.
I don't think you, with their loot system and stuff, I don't think you necessarily have to. So it's
Own
kinda
the
weird,
hero
too.
to have the skin?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
I don't know.
I guess I just
I don't know.
only ever got skins for characters I had so I could play them.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I was to say, I just never invested in the skins for heroes I didn't own. Or champs,
Except
I guess, in that game.
Pajamather.
Yeah.
Except Pajamather.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I'll do it for you, Blizzard.
and one of the, obviously, again, I had this discussion, but it kind of made me think about it because, I do play League occasionally now, but when I do that, like, I'm not into League to where I'm reading the patch notes, watching all the new videos and stuff that come out. So it intrigued me quite a bit. And then the other thing were the mega bundles here. Darius was talking about how it wasn't super clear to him when he logged in that it was only like one bundle and like that's all you get, and like that these were, you weren't going to be able to go back and purchase these bundles separately. So like he made his decision. Like he wasn't upset about it, but like he made his decision and was intrigued.
I think that was made fairly clear in the article about mega bundles, but
again,
you'd have to have read the article.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
It did say pick one. I mean, it kind of highlighted in game that you could get one.
Well, it's but it's pick one, but it gives you the exact gems for that one. So it's like, okay, but then maybe somebody goes and buys more gems and like, oh, it's I don't know.
Because they all
It's an
only
interesting
cost
thing.
100 gems,
Correct.
which was the 100 that they gave you.
Yeah.
Because
And
it
can we
wasn't
talk
like
about-
a free bundle.
Can we talk about how generous that was?
Yes.
Like ridiculously generous that was?
It's like
It was
over.
amazing.
I haven't gone through and I'm sure somebody has gone through and priced each bundle, but I would imagine that on average they're probably over $100 each. Or
Possibly.
right around.
Yeah, if you
I
were
mean,
actually
it's
going
20
in and buying all
heroes.
the individuals.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of
Yeah.
them are new. I mean, we're talking like Lucio's in the support one.
Mhm.
There's so many like new heroes thrown in there too. I was super impressed. And honestly, the mega bundles have been kind of a bargaining chip that I've been trying to use to bring some of my old buddies who maybe I played League with a few years ago, but just haven't been playing anything much lately. I've been trying to say, hey, look, if you're going to get in the game right now, honestly, now's the time because these mega bundles are ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a huge head start.
Mhm.
It's a huge
Yeah.
head start. While we're on this subject, one other thing I wanted to mention before we actually get the show started. Um, so I was kind of thinking about the cosmetics and the content and the way I would like to see it go, because everybody loves that Christmas feeling, right? Opening a bunch of stuff all at the same time
Mhm.
and whatnot. So my hope is, and you guys can chime in on what you think about this. My hope is that we'll see some cosmetics continue to be released in small chunks every time, like a big patch, like a hero patch,
Mhm.
comes out. And
Yeah.
then my hope is a few times a year, 2, 3, 4, whatever times a year, we'll have just a huge dump of content. And during those giant dumps of content, they'll have some sort of loot box sale where, like, if you buy 50, you're multi smiling. It's
Get
probably
10
because I
free
said
loot
dump
boxes.
multiple
Giant
times.
dumps of content.
Giant dumps of content. The best kind of giant dumps, though, guys. The
All
best
we
kind
want
of
are giant
dumps.
dumps.
The kind there after it's done, you feel really good.
Mhm.
Yes. So, anyways, like a few times a year, it'd be sweet if they just put a ton of content out, and then discounted loot, like a big bundle of loot boxes, say like 50 or whatever, so that you could have that, and in some ways entice that Christmas moment of, okay, there's a ton of new stuff out there. We're discounting this big bundle of loot boxes if you get like 25 or if you get 50, and then you can have that Christmas moment again where, for the next however long, maybe you get a better chance of rolling the new content from this huge content drop. And you do that for as long as you run the big loot box sale, and that entices people to get stuff and then gives them extra opportunity to get new stuff over stuff that's currently in. Since, I mean, technically Heroes could use like the themed loot boxes like Overwatch does, but I'd rather just kind of tilt the RNG a little bit more to the new stuff rather than have a ton of separate event-based loot boxes too, honestly. And I think I honestly, that's the kind of content drop I'd like to see going forward. Just the small stuff where they add stuff continually on a monthly basis with every hero patch that comes out, and then do big, huge content drops a few times a year with loot box sales and RNG tilted toward it. I think, and I think that would get me on board a lot, because then that entices me to say, oh, okay, sweet, I want to get this 25 or this 50 loot box bundle now to try and get some of the new stuff. And then you can, a few times a year, kind of elicit this, all right, guys, it's Christmas morning, we're going to have all the loot box opening streams and whatnot again.
Yeah. And
Well, see, like, they could do it just like Overwatch does, in the sense that, in terms of tilting the RNG, as you say, when a holiday comes out in Overwatch, you open up the loot crate, and just one of the items inside is guaranteed to be a holiday themed one. So you could do that here just as well.
Sure.
And then that way people are trying to farm out like holiday specific or event specific skins. If we have another with the new hero that was announced, it kind of feels almost like an Overwatch event in a way. I mean, it wasn't an official one, but like if we get another Eternal Conflict or the StarCraft one, what was that called again? Then yeah, we may actually see that type of loot chest come out for that as well. Themed loot chests down the road.
Yeah. The War Machine?
War Machine.
Machines of War.
Machines of War.
Machines of War.
Yeah, but no, you bring up a good point about like the, just that Christmas feeling opening presents, because while we do get chests, fairly often in this, opening one common chest is kind of just like, So that's why I was saying, like, I'm kind of saving up. I think I'll probably wait till I get to, like, I don't know, 20, 25, and then open them all at once again, so I can have just a fun little, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes of seeing what I get and re-rolling and whatnot. Or
And
save
you get
them
the new
for
content
events.
when you
Yeah,
save it too.
exactly.
So
Yeah, because all the loot chests, for those who haven't heard, all the loot chests roll when you open them. So you can save loot chests up and get new content in them because they're not predetermined like Overwatch ones are.
Correct. All right,
Yep.
Multi, what you got going on with this channel and contest?
Oh, yes. So we do have a contest going on. It's just a really unofficial one that I just kind of shouted out in our Discord. But if you join our Discord and you join the new channel, which is called Leet Loot Chests, you can actually hop in there and post your really cool loot chests that you just have unlocked. Post a screenshot of them in there. And then I am, by the end of the end of the first week of 2.0. So by that I mean May 2nd is a week from the Tuesday that we just had. So by May 2nd, post all of your pictures in there, and I'm going to select just my favorite one. It's not necessarily even the best one. So, if you crack 3 legendaries, you might have a good shot. Or if you have like an entire loot chest that's only Arthas and like the Arthas voice line and 3 skins for Arthas, you might win that one too. You know what I mean? So it's subjective. I will choose the winner, but I will otherwise be objective. I'm not going to pick any favorites. And then you just get to pick one of the skin codes that I got and get yourself a little skin bundle. So
Cool.
yeah, just hop in and post your stuff. And in general, this was kind of to launch that channel because I just wanted there to be a place for people to go and post really cool chests, even years down the road. So it's just open now.
Cool.
For you guys to chat and show off.
Perfect. Well, now that we're 30 minutes into the show, let's go ahead and get into the show.
We don't have anything to cover up ahead
Yeah.
here.
TBK, what do we got going on with the sales here, real quick?
So as we mentioned earlier, mega bundles. There's 4 different ones. You get to pick one. If you're a new hero, or if you're a new hero, no, there's only a few of those every once in a while. If you're a new player though, and you're just coming in, there's the website battle.net/heroes/en/heroes20/mega bundles, since you'll completely remember that, where you can take a little quiz and kind of figure out which mega bundle might be good for you.
Do you really need to take the quiz? Have you taken the quiz?
If you're a brand new player, I'm talking somebody who's new to MOBAs, doesn't know what they play, or hasn't played a whole lot of MOBA type games, but might want to figure out their play style. It will tell you kind of who fits.
That's a good point. But the question's like,
we all took it.
In a team fight, what do you like to do? Deal damage, take damage, sit in the back line and heal players. It's like, okay.
Split push. Dang it.
Yeah.
So anyways, there's 4 of those different bundles. So if you've been playing for a little bit, the recommendation, of course, is to just pick the bundle that gives you the most heroes, because that's the most free stuff. That's the most value. Remember, these ones, you don't get shards for duplicates. And so just by that nature, it's better to just grab the one that has the most, unless it's really close and you really want some heroes of a certain type. But they're awesome. They're free, and that was a huge give by Blizzard. It's kind of a huge leg up for anybody brand new, and for people who've been playing, a great way to fill out their rosters.
For sure.
So right now, gem wise, the featured stuff, there's just a few things. We got the Genji bundle with the skins. We have the new Ariel skin bundle, and we have the new Zarya skin bundle.
Mm-hmm.
All those can be purchased for gems, as well as found in loot chests or crafted. Also, and I didn't know this until I saw it in game, but there is a cool new Sparkle Pony.
Yeah.
It's actually called the Celestial Steed, but it's a Sparkle Pony.
Sparkle Pony.
It is literally the coolest horse they have. No question. I was playing a game, I saw Tyrael riding it, and I was like, where did that come from? I must have it now. So I went to the crafting section, and it wasn't there. It's like, how did I not know about this mount?
Yeah.
And so apparently, just through like looking, if you make a real money gem purchase, it can be the most expensive set of gems, it can be the cheapest set of gems. You get this included, this free Celestial Steed included with your purchase. It looks amazing. It's like in WoW, it's like made out of a constellation with like background stars inside of it. It's really kind of trippy to look at, actually, but I love it.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm glad because I only found out about that because you guys were talking about it in Discord, so I instantly went on and got it. It really is. It really is.
I
neat.
saw Royalite post about it.
Nice.
But yeah.
All right, Multi, what about the free hero rotation this week?
Who even cares, man? Just get one of the mega bundles and use those. But anyway, we do have some free heroes, though. Maybe you want to line up your mega bundles with this. We've got Artanis, ETC, Kael'thas, Leoric, Li, Li Ming, Lucio, Lunara, Butcher, Zagara, Chen at 5, Gul'dan at 7, Sylvanas at 12, and Kerrigan at 15. Lucio, one of the newer ones, just kind of getting in the rotation now. That's always good to see. But otherwise, it's a solid group and quite a few options for sure. Especially for those new and returning players, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go ahead and get on into the news. All right, so just a little bit of news to get to this week. First up, a few things, or not necessarily in that order, but some stuff that were announced in the little stream they did yesterday. First up is the Nexus Challenge 2.0. A cool little 4-week thing they got going on here, where each week, if you play 5 games with a friend in any mode besides Brawl, you will unlock a reward. And this was another thing that was kind of a little confusing, but we'll wrap it up and put a bow tie on it for you here. Week 1, in Heroes, you'll get Omni Portrait, Genji War Banner, Genji Spray, and Ani Genji Mount, Orochi Hover Cycle Mount, which is kind of cool.
6 colors.
Yeah, there's a lot.
A lot of colors.
And then in Overwatch, the Ani Genji skin, player icon, and spray. Week 2, which will begin May 1st, there will be the Busan Police Hover Cycle Mount in Heroes, and the Officer Diva skin in Overwatch.
Which is pretty sweet Overwatch skin.
It is.
It is.
I must say. And there's an addendum here too. So once quest number 2, week 2 starts, you cannot get this in AI. You have to play either quick match, unranked, or ranked with a
so
friend
that's
to
the
get
catch.
it.
That's true for weeks 2 through 4, and I love it because it makes the new people or the people just coming from Overwatch actually have to play against people and not just farm AI games.
And that's kind of the thing here. You do not, if you miss week 1, you're fine. In week 2, if you play 5 games, you'll unlock the week 1 stuff first, and then your second 5
then get
games,
the week 2 quest.
Yeah. And you can do that up through week 4. So you could wait till week 4 and then play 20 games. But the police hover cycle mount really makes me want some police skins. Like for Raynor, Vala, Nova. So hopefully we'll get some of those in there. Week 3, Heroes Rewards, Overwatch Nexagon mount, Officer Diva banner, a badge spray, and an Officer Diva portrait. And then in Overwatch, the Diva spray and Diva player icon, Officer, of course. And then week 4, you'll get 10 loot chests in Heroes and 10 loot chests in Overwatch, which
is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That's a lot of loot chests between both games. You know how long it takes to get 10 loot chests in Overwatch?
a long time.
It takes some time for sure.
Like-
and honestly, there are some Overwatch fans for sure, like over in our Cavalry Discord, that are looking into doing this just for those loot crates. Like they're seriously going to push
10
through
loot
all
crates
4
is
weeks.
a lot.
It is absolutely. So, and I mean, in both games, it's nice for sure. It's not as big a deal in Heroes just because they're easier to come by. But I mean, hey,
Yeah.
sounds good. Mm-hmm.
So this next piece of news, the Try Hard for Good, this is, in my opinion, one of the biggest pushes and smartest pushes that Heroes
I think you can
has
just say
done.
genius.
to-
Like
Oh,
yeah,
whoever
it's
whoever
genius.
thought of this promotion should get a raise.
And
because this is genius.
along with it being combined with the mega bundles here. So what this is, they have equipped some top tier Twitch streamers with a coach and challenged them with a simple goal: become the best Heroes of the Storm player they can possibly be while earning donations for the Make-A-Wish in the process. It's time to try hard for good. Not only are these top-tier Twitch streamers, they're all ex-professional League of Legends players.
That's right.
With League of Legends followers. So this is going to get a lot of people who are playing League of Legends or played League of Legends watching their favorite streamers play Heroes of the Storm. Oh, and hey, if you want to check it out, you can get 20 heroes for free by downloading it.
It's true.
So it is genius. But how this thing is going to work, there's going to be 2 phases. Phase 1's April 25th through May 1st. And for this week, each of the contenders is teaming up with a coach for hands-on instruction, where they'll kind of learn the ins and outs of Heroes of the Storm, sharpen their skills, and get their Hero League game faces on. And then Phase 2 is going to be May 2nd through 16th, where for those 2 weeks, each competitor is going to claw their way to the top of the Hero League solo queue ladder with no more assistance of the coaches, and we're going to see who comes out on top. So the players are Dyrus, Skara, and Voyboy. And
all names I recognize.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Even me,
days.
and I didn't
Honestly,
play a bunch of League. The coaches, Chu8 is going to be coaching Dyrus, Dunk Train coaching Skara, and KO coaching Voyboy. So really interesting here. And kind of for the Make-A-Wish stuff that they're doing, they have some requirements stuff. If they reach gold rank, $500 donated. Platinum, $1,500. Diamond, $2,000. Diamond ranks 1 through 5, $500 per tier. Master, $3,500, and Grandmaster, $5,000. And each win in Hero League, they get $100. And if they climb to the top, or whoever climbs to the top, $25,000, I assume, donated in their name.
Very cool. Yeah, that ramps up fast,
It's a lot
too.
of money.
A lot.
And these guys,
100
they're going to
per
have
win?
such good just mechanics. I think they're going to do okay.
Yeah. It's but again,
It's a very generous, not just for the promotion aside. This is they're probably going to be shelling out a lot of money to Make-A-Wish.
Oh, yeah.
Which is awesome, because $100 per Hero League win, and they've got like several weeks to do this. You know how many Hero League games they're going to go through if they're just like doing this on a fairly consistent basis every day, which one would assume they are.
Yeah. But
It's pretty sweet.
again, like that, it's such a genius move. And somebody needs a raise over there, Blizzard. Hook 'em
Oh,
up.
for sure.
TBK, how about for the new Bloodlust coming here?
Yes. So Solid Jake has announced the new Bloodlust tournament for 2017. It is going to happen in July, and I am getting the exact date, July 28th through 30th. So if this is the one where pro teams are invited, and then there's going to be like an amateur series as well that will accompany it to just continue to play against the pro teams. So I don't know if anybody saw the Bloodlust from last year, but they had Zoya on. They brought in, I think, Poseidon for who's one of the professional observers, Sophist, who's one of the admins. So I mean, it was a very high quality production, and Dunk Train was there, Zoya was there, Solid Jake was there. They had a bunch of funny show matches and casting sessions. The funniest, of course, being the one where Dunk Train and Zoya had to eat ghost peppers right before the cast
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
of a game, and they were provided with no water. And so you have to go look this up to really appreciate like the depth of it and see the faces that Zoya makes. But it was incredible, and hopefully we'll get part 2. But it's crowdfunded. Those are always a lot of fun. Jake does very high quality production stuff for these amateur tournament, and I guess semi-amateur tournaments, since there'll be some pro teams competing too. So definitely check that out when it's on.
For sure. Multi, how about for the most important tournament here, Lords of the Lane?
Oh yeah, forget all these other tournaments we were just talking about, because Lords of the Lane 6 is coming up this May 7th. That's a Sunday, and the registration's open now. You can just go to challonge.com. That's CHALLONGE.com/Lords of the Lane 6. And it is our 2v2 tournament that we host every so often. But this is our next one. There's been quite a few new heroes that have come out since then, so we'll see if any of them are up to the task. But yeah, it's basically 2v2 on Lost Cavern, and there's a whole pick ban sequence that's pretty intuitive. All the rules are going to be on the website there, so go check them out there. But yeah, grab a friend and sign up. If you don't know anyone, pick someone. We've got a Discord you could jump on, and I know there's people always looking for someone on there. So yeah, hop in. It's for just a little bit of Amazon gift card action at the end of the day if you guys win. But yeah, someone's got to get in there and take down the dynasty that we've seen in the last few here.
For sure. And again, guys, this is 2v2, so it can sometimes be hard to find a full 5-man team in order to play in a tournament. You just got to find one other person for this, and it's super, a casual tournament. We do have, quite a few teams that return because it is such an awesome way to play the game that you really can't do unless you're just doing a custom game with, other people. But at that point, if you ask somebody to play a 2v2 game, they're gonna be like, "What are you talking about?" And just say, "Dude, trust me." But yeah, just find another person. It's super fun. And always an incredible time there.
Yeah, and the link's going to be in the show notes.
Correct.
So lordsofthestorm.libsyn.com for the show notes. And again, challonge.com/Lords of the Lane 6.
And it's the number 6.
Number 6.
Not spelled out.
Challenge. Another tournament. All the tournament stuff coming up here. The Gathering Storm. I mentioned this not last week, the week before. This is a multi-community HOTS tournament that's being set up by my good bud Sharku over in on the Convert Trade podcast. This is going to be June 3rd and 4th, so it's going to be that break in the HGC weekend. And what this is a 5-man tournament where you can go to the website, which is gatheringstormtournament.com, and there'll be a registration form to sign up your team name and stuff. But the whole idea around this is to kind of pick which community you want to represent, be the champion of. And there is Frog Pants, Convert to Raid, A-Move TV, and then Geekly Inc., who, of course, does like Drunks and Dragons and several amazing podcasts.
Isn't it Convert to Raid /us?
Yeah, /Lords of the Storm. We're tied in there because I do Convert to Raid. And so you can choose, what community you want to represent. The June 3rd portion is going to be a mini tournament set up to where you're playing against the other teams that are representing those communities. And then I believe it is the top 3 teams from each community will move on to the June 4th tournament. And it's going to be set up in kind of a little, March Madness type bracket to pretty much just find out which community has the best heroes players, champions. So choose wisely, because obviously if you listen to Heroes of the Storm podcast, there's a chance you listen to most of them. So make the right choice and represent Convert to Raid and us.
I was about to say, by that you mean choose us.
But it's an amazing idea for a tournament. And this is kind of Sharky's first go at it. He just went for it, and it's an awesome idea. So
I love it.
It's hopefully this will be kind of an ongoing thing every once in a while. And they're also at the bottom of the page, which we'll have in the show notes, gatheringstormtournament.com again. There's a link to go to the Discord, and you can hop in there, find a team, all the good stuff. All right. So next up, the cinematic and Diva announcement. And so they had another cinematic here, and it was called the Hanamura Showdown. And the cinematic team did it again. Holy crap.
That's really good. It's the same type of animation it looked like as the Varian Ragnaros.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was higher quality. I thought it was from the regular cinematic team that does like the other stuff? No? Was it just
No,
a really well done?
I think it
It's-
was just
yeah.
stylized different.
It's that maybe.
Yeah,
I think
'cause-
it was using. I think it was using the same tech that they used for the Varian Ragnaros one at BlizzCon.
Yeah, 'cause-
Not sure on that one, but it looked nice.
I asked on Twitter.
yeah.
Oh, did you? Okay.
The
All right,
I think it was stylized slightly different. Well, at least it's hard to tell with Genji because he's covered up, but the Varian and the Ragnaros one's kind of
It was very Overwatchy
and
looking.
yeah.
It's kinda
What
true.
and he kind of looked like an action figure in the Varian one, like as far as the hair and stuff. And that's not like I'm not saying it looked bad; it looked incredible, but just kind of the stylized version. But yeah, so it started out as just kind of a nice duel on Hanamura between Genji and Diablo, and then Genji starts getting his little butt whooped, and Diva comes in out of nowhere because heroes don't have to fight alone to take on Diablo. You see Genji riding around on top of Diva and stuff. Some pretty sweet things there. Saw a lot of abilities from the game. Lightning Breath, which apparently has like a 2-second cooldown. So I don't know. What did you guys think of the? Well, first up, Blizzard, you did it again. You pulled the sheets over us with your little
They
teaser.
debated
on-
the entire Heroes community.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so
with
good.
claw marks
They've
that
gotten-
turned out to be Diablo's claw marks.
They've
'Cause
gotten
we
so
mentioned
good
we
at it.
mentioned Diva last episode.
Uh-huh.
Let's just say we did mention Diva last episode, and then they released this teaser, and there's claw marks, and everyone's just like
In a growl.
Dwagons.
Yeah.
And I was like Dwagons.
It's
And
gotta
it
be
wasn't
Deathwing.
Dwagons.
No.
So yeah, they've gotten good because this I don't know the guy's name who keeps making these leaks, but they're doing a good job of kind of throwing us off here. But it was Diva. So what did you guys think of the trailer? Are you happy with the Diva reveal? Are you upset you didn't get your dragons? TBK.
Oh, I'm always upset that because I mean once Ragnaros happened, like all of my energies, all of my hero wanting energies shifted over to Mothael and the WoW Dragon aspects. And Kel'Thuzad. I'll throw in Kel'Thuzad because I'm not quite as Kel'Thuzad hype as some people are, like the one dude who's given him like 50,000 titles at this point, but I'm fairly hyped for him. But I want some legit WoW Dragon aspects. Give me like Alexstrasza, Deathwing, Ysera. That'd be awesome. But I'm okay with this because Overwatch is other than Lost Vikings, it is the lowest populated universe inside of Heroes.
Uh-huh.
And so now we'll actually have 5 Overwatch heroes. And if you actually look at them, they make a halfway decent team as well.
A playable team, at least.
Yeah, because Diva is expected to be a warrior. Whether she will be a main tank warrior is kind of up in the air still. But I mean, you combine her with Zarya, Lucio for heals, and then Genji and Tracer for DPS. It's not like necessarily the most meta thing in the world, but it's not terrible either.
I don't know. Tracer and Genji, from our experiences the other night, it's not the greatest thing. It's a lot
And Lucio's healing
lot
is
of
not the
little
best
tickling.
for them necessarily because, like, you
Well, they have
kinda
Zarya
want that
kills
first.
too.
That's
Can't
true. That's true.
discount Can't discount that. And whatever Diva can do, which we'll speculate on here shortly. But it's, like I said, it's not the most meta team in the world, but I will definitely be trying to find 4 other people to run it with just because.
Yeah,
I'll do it.
we can do some custom Overwatch versus Overwatch team games because then it would be even.
And on Hanamura, of course.
Yeah, duh. Speaking
Sounds
of
like
which,
an after game show
a
coming up here.
question Pat asked me last night as far as these crossovers was, so obviously they're bringing all, doing the Overwatch hero stuff. What would be a good map, a hero map for them to take into Overwatch for a crossover there? And I said Hanamura.
Yeah. Just take it back over.
Yeah, I mean, All right, bad jokes. Multi, what was your impression? Did you like the trailer, or how did you feel about the hero reveal?
Oh, love the trailer. And the funniest part, honestly, I think it was last week we were talking about how wouldn't it be funny if because they had the primeval Diablo in the original Heroes of the Storm trailer. Wouldn't it be funny if they had the regular like D2 style beefy Diablo in this one?
Yes,
And they totally did it.
they
So
totally did.
It's
I kind of love that, and I feel like that's how that went down. I feel like the Heroes team met up with the Cinematics team and said, you know what? No, we have a lot of the good work already done on Primeval Diablo from the Diablo cinematics and also our first one. But let's scrap it all. Let's go big, beefy, just regular old Diablo. And so I love that. And then as to Diva, man, yeah, I mean, I've said on numerous occasions that she's one of my favorite heroes in the sense that of the heroes from Overwatch that I want to be brought over into Heroes of the Storm. She was near the top of my list, frankly. She and like Reinhardt and some others, of course. But yeah, I mean, they did say on stream she's going to be a tank. And they said on stream a few times to be watching closely to find out what some of the abilities are. But we really only saw a few things. I mean, she certainly flies in.
And we know her kit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And all the Overwatch have been pretty similar to
For
their
sure,
actual
for sure.
Overwatch counterparts.
But the question I have is about the part where Genji leaps onto her back and flies around with her. Could there be something to that?
Like her carrying people.
Mini
Yep.
medevac.
That'd be cool.
I'm picturing, yeah, like a mini medevac, or just getting your damage character just in range of getting that final like arcane orb off to finish him off.
Or taking out like a squishy in the back that's about to get killed, diving in and taking them out
Oh
of
yeah,
danger.
or carrying like an Illidan back to that squishy, and then he just jumps off and jumps on him and stuff. Like, oh, there's so much you could do.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they're actually going to do that necessarily. It could have just been a cool stylistic thing for the cinematic to have Genji jump on her back, but could be fun.
I want to tie in a question we had from Space Pope here, at least part of it. He was asking kind of if the cinematic was everything we hoped for. He was disappointed they didn't go with the new Diablo skin. And kind of onto your point, Multi, I'm super glad they went with this one because we've seen the Primeval Diablo skin and kind of what that looked like in this type of cinematic. And then
Diablo
also
3.
Yeah. And then also along to the, the joke of, okay, yeah, there was that skin, but we didn't have that skin in game. Now we have the skin in game and we're going with the old one.
Yeah, on the day they released the skin in game, they came out with a cinematic with the old one. I love it.
The crystal on his head, I don't quite get. He's like a unicorn Diablo. I don't know what that's supposed to be. If that's supposed to be like it's not the Soul Stone because that's black, but it's interesting. All right, so Diva's kit here, kind of what we're expecting or ult wise. I honestly think this is going to be the hardest port over that they've done so far, just because of how Diva kind of plays. Obviously, in Overwatch, she has both in her mech suit, out of the mech suit. So I imagine that's going to be tied into here somehow. My guess is, of course, that the first ult. I don't know what is it called in Overwatch. Overpower, overcharge.
Ooh, I should know this off the top of my head. Essentially, though, for those of you who are not necessarily fans, she just jumps. She bails on her suit. I think it's self-destruct or something to that effect. Chat, help us out here. But yeah, she just bails out of her suit, and then it goes flying, and then just explodes, dealing basically lethal damage to everyone in the range. And so the interesting point about it, though, is that in Overwatch, you can control the momentum and like the angle at which the suit approaches. Like you can boost first and then jump out and then get huge forward momentum behind it, or you can launch it in the air, or you can just jump out where you're standing and drop it in the middle of a big room. So I've got to think that if they're going to build in maybe her dash, which just has to be in there too, that perhaps if it's one of the ultimates, they'd have to build that in as well. Maybe you'd have to either choose to boost before getting it off and thus launch it farther, or just bail out as well.
Okay.
So,
and
that's my guess.
self-destruct.
Self-destruct, yeah.
That, that should have been easy to think of.
Because the suit self-destructs.
Yeah, and then it's call mech when you get it back, which should be a thing too. Presumably, once she's out of the suit, either by taking damage or just dumping it, that she should, after such and such time, be able to get back in it. I presume that's all going to translate straight over.
Yeah, and I imagine it'll just be like a short cooldown before it calls back down. But the bigger question is if it's going to work like it does in Overwatch, where if you destroy her mech, does she then hop out? And it becomes like a 5-10 second cooldown to where you have to kill her. because it can't be too long because she'll be squishy. But and then at the same time, it can't be too short. Otherwise, you're gonna have like an unkillable warrior on your hands.
Well, in Overwatch, you get your ultimate charge back by doing damage a little bit quicker. There's a bit of a timer, but if you just sit there and wait it out, you're gonna be sitting there all game. So I could see them having her come out and maybe like she has no escapes but can only auto attack with her pistol, and then you have to just kind of sit around and pick at people in the corners until you can jump back in. I could see them translating that somehow.
Yeah,
they'd have to come up with a whole system for it.
It would just be interesting because, like first-person shooter, it's easier to do that, and you can be in a safe distance. Whereas Heroes, I imagine she's going to be super squishy, and with all like the divers and stuff that you have, it'll just be interesting to see if it is more based off of her having to deal damage, or if it's just going to be a short to medium cooldown. I don't know. TBK, what do you think?
So I've been giving this some thought, and I've kind of come up with what I think the kit might be. So like the trait I think is the hardest part. Is do they tie the trait into the suit itself, and the trait is where the charge lies for getting your suit back? Because that's kind of what I think, right? So first off, it's essentially two characters. You've got the mech suit, which has got its own HP bar, and it can be healed and such. But when the mech suit dies, she dumps out, and it's basically a second health bar, only super low health. Maybe she gets 1 out of 3 abilities she can use potentially, and is super squishy. So she might have some extra abilities only in Diva form, which I think could be kind of interesting, and I think in some ways would almost be necessary because. And I was talking to as we've kind of talked to developers and such. Not having any button suppressed doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
For long periods of time.
But you shouldn't feel good out of the suit. You don't in Overwatch.
You shouldn't, and I'm not saying you have to. It has to be amazing or anything, but you need to give her something to do, especially because you're going to have to balance the recharge time of the suit versus like allowing you to kill it and making her vulnerable for a certain period of time, right?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming the trait is some sort of suit regen, and you'll call that down. And like Multi said, maybe it'll recharge faster by the damage you do or some such. The fusion cannons is a pretty easy ability, right? I mean, that's just blah. The boosters is a pretty easy ability too. And I assume for her mount, she'll probably just kind of mount up and hover, move around.
Yeah,
because I don't see her riding a horse. Yeah. And then one ult, of course, is going to be the self-destruct. And I see what I kind of understand what you're saying on the boost thing where you can do momentum and stuff. I would think that'd be extremely hard to translate over to Heroes. Just because we don't have physics-based movements or anything like that. So it's potential that they tie boosters potentially into the self-destruct ult, but I think it may be more of a targeted type thing where it shoots after a certain amount of time, it'll land, and then it's a huge like explosion radius of some sort.
Oh, half lane or something.
If anything, it would just be the range is increased if you do it while boosting, because because like you said,
you could throw it. Yeah, you could target it farther.
Yeah, and you target it down.
Whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think that's a fine ult. I think it's an okay ult to do massive AOE damage. I mean, it can't be too big because then you just pick that ult all the time. Yeah, and it can be just a complete team fight changer. Like a Lucio will probably be very strong versus that type of an ult with a sound barrier. So that'll be interesting. But then, of course, you make yourself vulnerable too, because with that ult, you lose your suit for a little while the ult's going on. I think the hard one is going to be Defense Matrix.
Oh, yeah. That's maybe the key one for her in this game.
Really tough to translate as is, because you shoot incoming projectiles out of the air. And so I wonder if they'll change it to something like you activate it and you negate all basic attacks during the duration, potentially, or
So
all
then it's
ranged
kind of
basic
just like,
attacks.
yeah, maybe. But then if you do that, it's basically just Johanna's little blinding thing, essentially.
I
So,
Yeah, it's tough, right?
and in
Because-
Overwatch, the reason it's tough is because in Overwatch, it blocks everything, literally everything, all ultimates, all abilities. You could have a Pharah up there just raining justice from above, and it could do nothing because she could just eat the entire thing. And so, yeah, if they translate that over 1-to-1, then yeah, I mean, you're thinking about saving it, even if it lasts 1 second and it blocked every incoming projectile and ability and everything. Pros would be able to time that out with the perfect exact spot in the middle of a team fight and get just huge value out of it, which honestly makes it feel a little bit more like Sanctification. And maybe they will do it that way.
yeah.
So I've actually come up with an idea for it, or a potential idea, because remember they did the same thing with Genji, where Genji in Overwatch deflects abilities back, whereas here he kind of absorbs and then shoots out damage
Right.
based on the damage that was done to him. Apparently, and we'll talk about this in the Q&A shortly, apparently at one point they had tried to actually have him bounce abilities back, but they hit so many gotchas and what ifs and like
Huge
scenarios
problems.
that they would have had to have set something up for almost every single ability in the game. Like, how do you deflect a flame strike?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like if you get hit by a full size Li Ming orb, does a full size Li Ming orb travel back, or does it just finish its travel time? Like there's a whole, like they had so many like niche scenarios. They're like, there's no way we can do this, which totally understandable. My personal hope for Defense Matrix is that it is a directional shield wall for D.Va. And so basically, and because of that, maybe it lasts a little longer than shield wall does because it is a directional thing. So that's something that you can give a little more power to. But basically you would have like a line of some sort. And if anything hit you through that, it would hit you, it would be deflected by the defense matrix. And basically you'd have that. And it's hard, but this is the only way I could think of that you could really make it sort of similar to Overwatch is if it comes through that certain cone that you've got, if you're pointing at it, then you are the unstoppable, or not the unstoppable, invincible, or whatever the status effect is that I'm not remembering over the top of my head. And that would give, invulnerable. And that would give some counterplay around it and add kind of a new element for positioning that we haven't really seen much of before in Heroes too.
Yeah, I think they're keeping the cone no matter what. My hope for it, honestly, though, is that it is the second ultimate, which would be weird to take a basic ability from regular D.Va and make it into an ultimate. But we pretty much know that the one ultimate's going to be bailing out of the suit and self-destructing, which is huge damage. And if she's going to be a warrior, we kind of want her to have a tanking option as well. Think like adaptation on Dehaka, right? So, yeah, if they had a short burst of where you're putting out the defense matrix and blocking everything, I think it would have a Sanctification-esque feel and actually kind of work. So that's my hope, is that it's actually the second ultimate.
All right. Per show canon, I have to come in here and disagree with TBK. I do not think this is going to be an ult. I think that.
So you're disagreeing with Kevin?
Right.
Oh, did you not think this was going to be the second ult?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm also going to disagree with you. I don't think it's that hard to translate. So I disagree with both of you. I just see it and I don't know as far as the system how hard it is for them to differentiate between projectile damage and then like the AoE, like flame strike. So I just see this as being like a shield wall. but with a longer cooldown, because I think as her being a tank, she could be in the front line and potentially block something that is going towards the back line. Obviously, to balance this, it would have to be short, like 3 seconds maybe, with a quite longer cooldown. Otherwise, that would be nuts. But that makes her seem more frontliney, tanky to me, as opposed to what we have with Zarya right now.
Right.
So I think they'll find a way to translate that into a basic thing that still works like it does in Overwatch, but is just, instead of it being charged where you can hold it for a certain amount of seconds, it is just going to be a short, like 3 second with like a 20 to 30 second cooldown, something ridiculous. As for her second ult, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the thing we saw with Genji in the trailer, the mini medivac we were talking about, it's going to be a short cooldown medivac where you can carry a player.
We jump. Yeah,
One
that'd
player.
be cool too. Mm-hmm.
Or maybe like a short cooldown thing to where you can maybe not like global, but decent distance carry somebody. But I don't know. It's
Cool stuff either way.
Yeah, we'll see. So Genji's out now, so who knows? Maybe we'll see some ability lists and stuff next week. PTR the week after that, and then launch May. Who knows? I don't know what date that is. I can't do that in my head that quick. So if you,
Does the calendar go out that far?
Does it?
I don't know if
I
they
think
updated
it's I think it's May 9th.
yeah, so we'll see.
Because if May 2nd would be Tuesday, and we'll probably see her on PTR this coming Tuesday.
So she
I
might
would
be out the
guess.
9th. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think we'll see her in PTR this
Maybe-
Tuesday, 'cause
maybe
Genji
she'll
just
be-
came out.
Yeah, maybe we'll see her PTR on the 9th and release on the 16th.
Yeah, I think we'll
Could
get
be.
an ability list next
Unless
week.
they just do it a week earlier.
Yeah.
They do sometimes, but not super often.
I'm sure she's really close to done anyway, you know.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Let us know if you guys have any ideas what you think your kit may be, what the second ult may be, how Defensive Matrix works. Let us know on Twitter, Discord, all those places. Email, you know. Okay, so Heroes of the Storm. There was a Q&A on Monday here, and there was a nice summary put together from the Brambor on Reddit, and this was, of course, based on specifically Genji and Hanamura, but they kind of did some other stuff as well. As far as hero questions and stuff that were asked, Lieutenant Morales, there is a rework coming soon here, but then also they mentioned Tyrande and Alarak are going to be getting some potentially significant changes, which we
Morales, though, that's new.
Morales? No, that's not new. That was mentioned in previous Q&As.
Yeah,
it was okay.
all three of those were mentioned in previous.
Yeah, and the
Q&As.
Alarak
But
was
I'm
at-
excited for Morales.
Yeah, for sure. The Alarak one we kind of knew about from the summit.
Yeah,
Kids
I
had
remember that
been
one.
mentioning with the sadism or whatever the heck that mechanic's called. So the fact that Genji Talent Tree is improving his kit rather than expanding it is a conscious decision. They don't want to give him too many tools, such as stuns, anything like that, which makes sense because with mobility, you got to be real careful in every other aspect. Otherwise, he can become ridiculous. If one of implementations of Genji's deflect works exactly like an Overwatch, but like TBK said, there was a problem with the Flame Strike, things like that. So that's where it is now. They used to, in his first iteration, he was able to pull out his sword with a Q ability, but because of the fact Genji was using his sword as a huge deal, they wanted to make it his heroic, which makes sense because that's also how it is in Overwatch, right? You can't just... It's just Dragon Blade where he uses his swords, right?
His
right.
main sword, because he's got the little.
With the dash.
Yeah, the shorter like defensive sword, and that's what he uses for his deflect.
Which, if
Right.
if you
too, I think.
ask me, that's just like he's a bad ninja, man. You got swords and you only want to use them occasionally. That just sounds awful.
You have to use it for the kill.
Yeah. They started working on him kind of mid to late August, just to kind of give you the timetable of, again, how long it takes to work on a hero. Let's see. Silence. They had some silence mechanics meant to counter casters, but they're used against them as what? they're as useful against them as against other heroes. I don't know.
It's worded very weird.
Oh, I
some
think
of
it's
the things
trying to
are
say that that they put in some silence mechanics on them that they intended to counter casters, but they were actually just as useful against anyone. So it probably was just broken.
That's not just
It's
Genji.
talking-
That's a overall talking just about silence.
Yeah, they're
Silences.
talking about.
Oh, really?
silence
Okay.
in
Thought they were still
general.
talking about. Okay.
Yeah, so apologies
Anyway.
for butchering that one weird. That was worded very weird. TBK, we also got some information on some battlegrounds and stuff here.
We did. As a lot of people are finding out, Hanamura is probably the most complicated map that Heroes has released so far as all the stuff going on and the things. But they said they didn't want to make complicated or nuanced hints on the battleground loading screen, like about the mercenaries, the boss, the timers for stuff, because they want them to be basic and easily understandable and kind of you figure it out as you go. I did have a comment on this, and I think it's something I would like to see from Blizzard. I want to see, we have hero information in game. Let's get some battleground information in game. Like, I want to be able to click on a tab somewhere that lists all the battlegrounds out and actually lists the nuances and maybe the timers and other stuff inside the game client so that we have that information. Because there's zero information on battlegrounds inside the game client apart from the loading screens. So
yeah, and it'd be also helpful if, like, in that tab they would have, like, you could go and watch the video that kind of explains the highlight video of the map and stuff like that. Or I don't know if I guess you can just create I guess you can create a custom game, AI game to practice maps. So
Nah, I never read the instruction manuals as a kid. Not going to start now.
men
Get in there
don't
and
read
try it.
instruction manuals.
That's right.
Yes. Anyways, they don't have a set formula for making mercenaries available during objectives or not. It's a shifting decision during map development. So this is in regards to some maps, the merc objectives will disappear while the objective is going on, like Garden of Terror or Dragonshire. And then some maps, the mercs are left out while the objective's going on. I believe like Infernal Shrines, I believe, does that. And so I assume it's just a balancing act if they decide that it's better to leave them up for the other team who didn't get the objective to help counter push or whatever, or if the objective is so strong in of itself that they don't want the enemy team grabbing mercs on top of that, which is why on a lot of maps, and you see this in pro games a lot more, and again, why timers are very important. Taking mercenary camps right before objectives are taken can be extremely strong on those maps that do despawn mercenaries. This is awesome. There's not a map veto system coming, or it's not planned. So I know that'll make some people sad who wanted a map veto system, but a map rotation is coming relatively soon, which is good. We have 13 maps now. It's probably needed, at least from a Hero League perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should be on a similar map rotation to HGC, honestly.
Yeah.
I think that would kind of be cool and match stuff. They want to be, and this is awesome too. They want to be more aggressive with updating battlegrounds to be like more in line with the constant hero changes. I think this is a really great idea because we have a lot of battlegrounds that have been in the game for a really long time and have some issues. And so it's good to see them acknowledge that and want to do battleground reworks because, I mean, look how many times Haunted Mines has been reworked and a lot of people still aren't happy with it.
Yeah.
Blackheart's Bay is another one that's going to be high on a lot of people's lists. Mm-hmm. Just because of how easy it is to PvE and snowball that map. Garden of Terror, let's just be honest, no one really likes Garden of Terror right now. I'm sorry. Okay. Those two people over there, you see those two people, they like it, but 98% of people don't like Garden of Terror.
There was a time in which I did, but that time has passed.
It was when it first launched and I had starry eyes of its newness. And after a few games, it was just like, this is not very fun. So I would like to see that get reworked.
Something I think they may go in and rework is potentially making the bosses harder in those older maps.
Oh yeah.
Because they talked about, especially with Hanamura, about how, at first they kind of made the bosses simple but as players became better and more mechanically, skillful, they've kind of made these latest bosses, starting with Braxis, more difficult. I think that's probably potentially a good way to kind of change some of the balances. As far as Cursed Hollow and stuff, right now it's pretty much, there's the time to get to your boss. If you're successful at that, go down and get the other team boss, which can be kind of snowbally. If you make the bosses harder to do so, that will kind of destroy that mechanic, that snowballing mechanic right there, and make the timing on the bosses much harder. So just one thing they can do.
I mean, we see that with the Hanamura boss. It's easily the hardest boss
for sure
that we've seen so far. We saw that with the Braxis bosses.
Right?
Or not the Braxis, both the StarCraft map bosses. They're both harder than the Golem.
I could see them giving some of those old bosses new abilities or like a makeover as well. It could be really fun.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. The first version of the healing pulse, that the Hanamura Merc drop healing pulse you use with your F key, originally had an AoE cleanse.
Jeez.
Oh boy.
Which is insane because I feel like they nerfed the healing from when we even played it at the summit.
And it's still super good.
And it's still really good, but holy crap, an AoE cleanse would be just that would make that camp so insanely like high priority and powerful. While testing an 8-core HP Hanamura, game times were pushed to an average 24 minutes, which is longer than they want. It's on their radar, and they'll adjust it accordingly if need be. So I mean,
there's some numbers on that issue.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You assume they played around with core HP on that and arrived very scientifically at 7. I think games will get longer on it as people kind of figure out what's going on, because early on, especially PTR games, and we kind of talked about this a little bit, without knowing a strategy to it, it's very easy if one team finds something that works to just kind of roll over the other team and get it really fast. Most of my Hanamura games on live have been lasting like 15 to 18 minutes.
Yeah, same here.
Which is, I think that's fine. That's not a bad number for me. And I think it'll kind of even out as people get smarter and learn more about the map. But they said they'd be keeping an eye on it. They didn't want to change anything from PTR because it's PTR. Sure. And so they're gonna give it some time. And then finally, at first they were afraid of Hanamura being too complicated with all the mechanics, but they were just as excited about implementing them, so they stuck to it. And I agree, it's definitely the most mechanically complicated map. There's so much going on, but I think that will lend potentially to a lot of strategy. It may make things harder in like a quick match unranked Hero League scenario, but I think it will be a much more interesting map to watch pre-made 5s on.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like Towers of Doom. Like Towers of Doom, I think, is one of the most interesting, fun maps to watch because you can't like super snowball it. And so I don't know about the snowballing aspect for Hanamura, but just because there's so many different aspects of things you can do, you can be pushing forts, payload, the Merc camp stuff, getting the keep and spawning the minion that will actually do a shot to the core if you get them all the way there. I mean, it'll be really cool to see pro play on it, I think.
Well, and the stream matches kind of highlighted that a little bit too. I think it was super fun to watch.
Yeah, and I mean, oh, by the way, that stream match was super interesting. Obviously, the teams kind of, I only watched the Dignitas versus Fnatic one because I had to go back to work. They weren't taking it as seriously. It was kind of more of a fun show match, but I loved Alan and Kent being there to kind of answer Dread and Caldor's questions like mid-cast about like
that was really cool.
Stuff was really interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, and then there were some other kind of miscellaneous stuff here. Multi rounded off in the QA. Why don't you take us through those? Yeah,
I'll just knock these out real quick. So this first one we could have a whole episode on, and the difficulties they would have implementing it. But they are trying to implement some kind of loss forgiveness regarding people affected by other players' toxic behavior and possibly when someone in a team disconnects. So a lot of interesting stuff there. That I know it could be cool.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be tough to pull off perfectly because then, what if there are teams that are trying to farm it? Like, let's always report this one guy for toxic behavior, and then we'll get a little bit less of a loss. And again, we could have a whole discussion on this one, but it's interesting that they're looking in this direction, at least for the time being. Also, let's see, they are considering adding some animation variations as loot prizes. So like an MVP screen pose, for instance. And that's technically in Overwatch. You've got those different end game poses. So yeah, I could see them doing something like that. Of course, it's just more art for the art team to crank out, but that's cool. What else are they doing, right? So let's see here.
They're not busy at all.
No, not with this whole giant content dump. Anyway, okay, so they did say they're looking into having streamer and caster announcer packs. They're possible, and they're also looking into out of heroes loot items. The same is true for HGC and esports specific items. So that could be super funny. I still kind of want my Kaldor pack there. So, but yeah, we talked about that last week, didn't we?
Yeah,
we kind of looked at that.
super
Yeah.
awesome.
Could be fun. Let's see. The new collection content may also come in theme drops. So again, it's kind of playing into perhaps holidays, perhaps events, that sort of thing. So good to see some confirmation there. They're saying that the requirements for ranked play won't change with patch 2.0. That's pretty evident, but good to hear. And then also they're still, when it comes to matchmaking still takes into account hero levels, and the formula was actually updated for 2.0. Which again makes sense because the whole hero level system is different. So good to see. Let's see here. The current Brawl portraits are currently now considered as an achievement and will be most likely impossible to obtain down the road. New Brawl portraits are not planned as of now. So yeah, they just kind of replaced that with the loot crate system. Very interesting.
Wow.
That makes me, I wonder, I don't know if there's any portraits I didn't get. I don't think so, but there might be.
Well, I don't know if there's any portraits I care
Too late
about.
now, Greg.
Very much so. Anyway, so let's see. The environment team would also love to make some minion spawning animations. Could be cool. And then let's see here. They're also looking, of course, to add HGC info and an esport tab in the game client. This is something they have on the to-do list. Something we've been asking about for a while, the ability to just launch into it straight from the client. So super cool for the HGC scene, esports in general. Yeah, we're looking forward to that one. Okay. And then they're saying now just some clarification on re-rolling chests. They've got the re-roll for normal chest is 250, 500, and 750. Epic is 500, 1,000 to 1,500. And then they didn't respond about veteran chests, but we were able to re-roll them.
Yeah, I think it was 1,000, 1,500,
I think it was 1,000.
2,000.
It was pretty, yeah. It was pretty pricey, but you know what? You got a guaranteed legendary with it. So, like, I honestly re-rolled one of mine twice just because I kept getting heroes that I already had. So, and it paid off. I ended up, that was my final one, and I got the Primeval Diablo skin from it. So, worth it. But, yeah, I think that about wraps those up.
Yeah. And then last in the news here, of course, is the 2.0 patch since it launched here. And I don't think, honestly, there's a ton different. There's a few heroes updates here.
Few tweaks.
A few tweaks. One of the big ones here being Valera. And I think it was Psalm super upset about this. But it's pretty big. Eviscerate, damage being reduced from 100 to 85 per combo point.
15% damage nerf on Eviscerate.
That's pretty big. And obviously, they did it because they didn't think a stealth hero having that much burst potential was fun or good for the game, which is understandable. But then at the same time, it makes, and I haven't played her since, so I need to get and test her out, but it seems it's just going to need to be more coordinated, I guess, as far as soloing it or picking a target out, singling one out.
She'll be more about setting up the stun than just.
It didn't feel terrible, honestly.
No, I didn't think
when I tried her out. The big one though is Cold Blood. that level 20 being removed.
Yeah.
Because that was almost a must take, or it was an obvious take just because of how powerful it was. So that is a huge nerf.
So it's
to
not
her
even
level
replaced
20.
by anything.
No, it's just gone.
Yeah, wow.
So that was a little surprising. But in regards to the whole Psalm thing, Psalm kind of went out on a rant about she was just starting to get played, and Valeera dead hero, whatever. I do kind of like that Blizzard is not, and the Heroes team in general is not necessarily basing their balance around pro play only.
Oh yeah,
Because you do have to take into account that pro play is, from a standpoint of how many people it is, it's nothing compared to quick match. Absolutely nothing.
Top 10 to the top 1%. Yeah.
Yeah. And so where are you going to balance your stuff around? Most likely, and we've seen some balance around competitive play, especially with Tassadar, but most likely you're going to see a little more balance around quick match if it's needed. And they apparently deemed it was needed, because it does not feel good for especially a new player to come in and then just get literally trashed from a stun and this crazy burst that Valeera can do.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so I completely understand why they did it.
Yeah. And I mean, they've talked several times in previous patch notes and stuff like that about how they're completely okay with there being those heroes like Medivh, Murky, and that have their place in the game. They're not, going to be good for everything, which is nice. Were there any other changes besides?
Ariel got the new Resurrect in finally.
But was
A lot of these
again? That was last week.
We've gone over.
No, they did not put in the new Resurrect.
But we went
with the kit change.
They didn't put it in, but we did cover
now.
it, didn't we?
I believe we talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
We've knocked out, there's like the Uther rework, and we've knocked out a lot of this stuff.
Display range ring is around now, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
New Barak changes. Yeah, that's. I mean, I think the Valeera thing was the biggest that wasn't kind of talked about before.
But yeah, so and as we kind of discussed last week, the patch notes we went over last week at least were dropped like the next day, implemented into the game, which is good. The Tassadar one kind of being the big one there. Hopefully they did that so that they can get that implemented into the HGC. I think it was Tassadar and ETC were the changes they put in.
Last week in the small balance?
Yeah.
Cassia got a little buff. ETC got a negligible buff. In my mind, I'm still salty about this. And then the big Tassadar changes. So yeah, I assume you're right. I assume they wanted to get that in on a newer patch level.
Yeah.
And they'll just go, and then the next set will be that patch level right before 2.0 Genji patch.
Yep.
Right. That helps.
All right. So real quick, want to give a thanks to some Patreon supporters here. Thank you to Fish Lulz, Martin H. If you want to shoot us a message for what you want your Zord name to be, and then we have a title. You have been deemed worthy of bearing the Zord title. Welcome to the Zord Lords. Josh L. Juice Lord Zord. Juice Lord Zord. Welcome to the Zord Lords. Thank you guys so much for your support. We really do appreciate it, all that you guys do. Just helps us to make this show better, which we like doing. Now, let's get into the HGC roundup this last week. All right, TBK, another interesting week in the HGC. Man. Why don't you walk us through it?
Interesting is one way to say it. Weekend of upsets.
Yeah,
I think is, for at least from the NA side. And just a note for you EU fans, we are going to be diving a little deeper into EU stuff next week, so we're not going to forget about you. But this week, it's all about NA and our ridiculous, consistent inconsistency. Like that's really all you can
Yeah.
call it.
My-
It's so ridiculous.
My mind was blown because I couldn't watch it this weekend because I had some friends come in town that were visiting, so I was taking them around town. And then I got on, looked at the scores, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." Wait, what?
Yes, and I
Right.
have the distinct privilege of watching most of these live. So to start off, Gale Force beat Superstars 3-0. Not super surprising. That was
No.
expected. Then Team Freedom comes in and they beat B-Step 3-1.
Pretty nuts.
Oh, okay. That's kind of nuts. That's a pretty big upset. Wrong. Saturday, April 22nd. No Tomorrow beats Gale Force Esports in a 3-2 with a bot Muradin on the last game in Sky Temple. It
What?
was literally the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life.
I need to go rewatch that one because honestly, I didn't watch that series
5.
purely because I just thought GFE would blow them out of the water. But now
You
I'm
were
gonna have to
wrong.
go back and rewatch
You were
all
wrong.
of those. I was very
Game
wrong.
5. Holy crap. Yeah, it was absolutely insane. And so if there's one series you watch, go watch that No Tomorrow Gale Force series. No Tomorrow played their freaking hearts out. It was insane. And so after B-Step got knocked down 3-1 by Team Freedom, they come against Team 8 on Saturday, and you think, oh, this should be a no-brainer, right? B-Step beats Team 8 3-2.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Team 8 and Team 8 continues to baffle me because they don't look like the same team from the first part of this first half.
Yeah.
Well, honestly,
At
I did
all.
watch that series, and they kind of did throughout most of the matches, but in a couple occasions, B-Step pulled it out last minute. Just like they won one team fight that would just change the entire game. In at least 2 of those games, that was the case for sure.
They
So
looked better this week than they did the last week, because last week they did not look good.
that's true.
It was very weird to see.
But I mean, they looked better, and then B-Step still beat them. So that's just
Yeah.
all the more accolade for B-Step.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then Sunday, Tempo Storm actually got a game taken off of them by Superstars, but they ended up winning 3-1. And then to wrap off this wonderfully ridiculous weekend, Naventic, who had done so decently, at least in one of their series last week, got 3-0'd by Team Freedom.
Team Freedom's out for blood.
Yeah, they are coming out of this break really strong.
Yeah.
Like
and
they're hungry.
they need to because they're one of the teams kind of on the cusp. I mean, let's be honest. It's looking like Naventic's not going to get out of those bottom 2 spots. But as far as the second bottom 2, it's going to be pretty close between No Tomorrow,
Yeah.
Superstars, and Team Freedom, I think. So
Yeah.
and obviously No Tomorrow's fighting as well with that win that they
Yeah.
pulled out. So it'll be interesting to watch it this next few weeks.
I must say that EU is fun to watch. Don't get me wrong, but the entertainment value of NA cannot be understated.
Not necessarily.
It
That
is-
doesn't. We're not saying NA is better than EU.
No,
because
not at
obviously that's
all.
been proven over and over again. But the
But
craziness
they're
that
definitely
happens.
more entertaining
Yeah.
in a lot of ways.
Well, and I like the casting of Gilly and Dredd, and I mean, like There's
They
a lot to it.
were in rare form this weekend.
it was really funny.
Like they have a little they kind of go off on things every once in a while, a little bit, but they went full on like tangent multiple times. And even though it was a little distracting at some points, I was laugh out loud. Like it was laugh out loud funny so many times. It's just like they're just doing something and it's just like, oh yeah, Dredd's talking about rap now, and Gilly's talking about StarCraft things that Dredd doesn't understand. And look, Dredd's getting tilted again.
Those are honestly the best parts, though. Like really, I just like it. Anyway,
Yep. So we'll see what happens this week here. The last 2 weeks have been crazy. I don't even want to make any predictions at this point. It's just
I don't think you can.
Yeah.
Other than Tempo Storm is super consistent right now. and they're doing really well. And they're easily on top of what NA has to offer right now.
Yeah.
Like Tempo Storm's really been the one consistent rock in a sea of bouncy balls, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. GFE is still doing really well, though, in their defense. I mean, they had the one loss, but they had a 3-0 win over Superstars, so there you go.
Actually, excuse me, you know what? I am going to say that it is an important week to watch, though. It's going to be a big week for No Tomorrow, Team Freedom, and Navintic. Navintic is going to be playing, or No Tomorrow will be playing B-Step and Superstars, so those are two winnable series for them if they play well to potentially, if they win both, get them out from one of those bottom two spots. Team Freedom plays Tempo Storm, which will be rough, which again would help No Tomorrow get out, and then Superstars playing Team 8. So we potentially see Superstars dropping down and swapping places with No Tomorrow. I don't know. Be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be a really interesting week. It'll be a really interesting week. I'm excited to watch it.
For sure. All right, TBK, what do you got for community content this week?
So much, but there's been so much stuff this week. It's been a good week for kind of everything Heroes, right? So Carbot released a Heroes 2.0 short, and it is absolutely incredible. Like, I don't even want to talk about it because you need to experience it for yourself, but they just did you guys both watched?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't spoil it because it's that.
I'm not going to spoil it because it is literally that good. Carbot knocks everything out of the park every single time. And he also just released, and this was recent too, a Probius
and Ragnaros.
short.
That one was really good too. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that one was
I hadn't
so
seen that
good.
until today either, so it was good duo.
So we'll have the link to that one, but go check out both of those. It's really good. Also, Masters Class episode 5 is out. This one is actually really, really good. We go over kind of a comeback replay that we were down by 3 levels, and we had 2 bosses pushing on us on Cursed Hall at the same time, and we ended up winning this game. So it's a really good one if you want to kind of find out how not to tilt and how to bring things back when the enemy makes poor decisions. So
right.
there's always, and that's just something in general for Heroes, there's always something, look for the things you can capitalize on if you're down, and you can use those things to come back, because there is comeback mechanics. Also, for those of you that remembered, I believe it was Dunkstick asked about the Team League, like what would we do to fix Team League?
Yeah.
Several episodes back. I actually I went on a big rant about what I would do for it, but I actually kind of distilled that and wrote it all out in a nice big document on a blog post on Heroes Hearth. And so I'll have a link to that, but it's something that I am really passionate about because I want to see 5s gain more traction. I think that's the best way to enjoy this game is 5s. And so I'll have the link up. You can check it out. Please give feedback. Add in your own ideas. I don't know if you guys got a chance to read through this. It's a lot of kind of what I said, but there's a lot more fleshed out to it. So
I'm glad you're just getting this out there for sure. Because even if they don't take every single point off of it, they'll hopefully get some inspiration. I mean, I like it.
Yeah, it's just something I really hope to see them put some focus on in the next year or so. Is make Team League easy to use and make it the premier queue for Heroes, because that is the best way Heroes is experienced with 4 other people against another set of 5 people who are all talking together. Also, and these are some really good discussion points, and I know we talked about this particular article on our streams yesterday while we were doing loot boxes. Sir Lance Little One. What a wonderful name. I was about to say Sir Lancelot One, but then I was like, nope, it's Sir Lance Little. He actually has a really, really good Reddit thread on how to reroll chests. And I kind of used the concepts in this as I was doing chest rerolls. And perhaps for you guys who haven't necessarily logged in yet and have a bunch of chests, this could be helpful. Keep any chests containing a rare or better you like.
That's
for the common chests. Reroll chests no more than twice, just from a gold perspective. Keep common chest if the chest has 2 rares or 1 epic or legendary, regardless of the duplication. Just from a cost and luck standpoint, that's a good break even. Keep rare chests if the chest has 3 rares or 1 epic legendary, regardless of duplication. And then keep epic chests if the chest has 2 rares, 2 epics, or 1 legendary. So it's just kind of guidelines. You don't necessarily have to. If you get something you like, keep it, right? But
it's a math breakdown of
it's a math
value and how to get the most out of this. So
I did a nice combination of, using this logic, but then also, you know what? I just followed my heart.
Oh yeah, sometimes you have to.
Sometimes you gotta follow your heart.
I did the same.
Like, even when I got the Candy King Muradin skin and I had an emote pack that I liked, I said, screw you, Candy King Muradin. And I re-rolled. And it was not quite as good, but I had no regrets.
Dookie King Muradin.
Giant dump of content, Muradin.
Yes, giant dump. Muradin. And finally, by Beta Key Takeaway, and this is really interesting. It's called Border Color Charts.
I have not clicked on this yet because this is very intriguing, and I haven't decided if I want to know what these mean or if I'm still trying to figure it out. Because at this point, I gotta be honest, I have no clue. I thought I'll think I figure it out because not only is there the border, but then there's the number too, and it's like okay,
number, and then there's gems.
And it's like okay, so. I think I have it where here, but wait a second. Now this guy has a higher number than me, but his border is lower than what I thought. Oh, this person's number's lower, but they have a gem. I don't have a gem. What's happening?
It's extremely confusing and convoluted. And once you kind of know what it is, it makes a sense of a type, but at the same time, it makes it's overly complicated in my mind. I like the graphics for it. Mm-hmm. I think the graphics are really cool.
Okay, I'm gonna click on it.
But just the formula. So the formula is there's borders and then there's badges. The badges are what you see in your profile. The borders are what you see kind of in the game or loading screen or whatever. So for a badge, the inside circle of the badge improves every 25 levels. Level number resets at 100. So you'll hit 99 and then you'll go back to 1 or
prestige
whatever.
Kind of.
Yeah, it's a prestige type thing. So the formula is 500 times the gem amount plus 100 times the color value plus the level number.
So
what?
It's weird. So instead of doing what would make sense for me is kind of like ranked play. You would have, start out with bronze and then bronze with 1 gem, bronze with 2 gems, bronze with 3 gems, and then it would go to silver.
Like
it is, but instead of doing it by all same color, it goes through the colors, then resets at the colors with 1 gem and goes through the colors and resets with 2.
So a brand new player starts with a blue border and a round badge. And then, so the colors, other than blue, is only for new players. Brand new players.
Level
0. The colors go green, teal, purple, red, yellow. And that's for the 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. And then once it hits 600, it goes back to green, teal, purple, red, yellow. So those are the tiers. And then once you hit 600, you get a gem for your portrait. Once you hit 1100, you'll get 2 gems. Once you get 1600, you get 3 gems, and so on and so forth. And this goes all the way up to 6650, which is the cap that Travis mentioned on levels.
Wow.
In
Right.
one of the Q&As. So that's, for those wondering, we'll have the link in the show notes, but that is the breakdown of what these new badges and stuff means. I like the look. I think the actual implementation is super confusing and convoluted.
So what do the numbers mean?
So the numbers are where you're at in your journey to the next 100.
The player progression journey.
Yes. So that's why.
Okay.
So if you see someone like a 57, so like say I had a yellow portrait or a yellow border with 1 gem and a 56. That means I am 1,056 levels in on my way to the
Gotcha.
green 1100 border with 2 gems.
Man, that is so
Yes.
Kind of
weird
complicated.
and out
It's
of the blue.
super weird. It's super weird. And no one
There was-
really knew about this because no one had the kind of levels on PTR for this to, unless, and this, I don't even know if this was on PTR, honestly.
Was this even
I
mentioned
don't-
at the summit? I have
No.
no memory of this
No,
until it came
this
out.
was,
It's-
this is completely new to me.
I-
And
I-
so, so many people on Twitter were asking, like, what the crap does this mean?
I
And
saw
so
it in game.
this
I didn't
thread.
know what it meant.
Yeah, I found this. I kind of figured it out a little bit in game, but not. I had no idea what colors were what. I only figured out the gem part
Yeah.
and what the levels meant. But that's just because I had a bunch of friends that were all different levels, so I kind of was able to deduce by. I've got a dude on my list that's got 3 gems on his border, which holy crap, dude, you're.
No.
Yeah, I think he's 1,654 levels.
Jeez.
He got his 70 loot chests.
Yeah, he got
It's-
his 70 loot.
It-
But yeah, it's very it's strange because Blizzard didn't put out any explanation at all of this.
Yeah, and that's the mistake
It
because
had to
it
be a
is
Reddit.
Right.
it is cool, but there needed to be something because that is, especially with how long the game's been out, like it is just like my mind is scrambled eggs looking at this thing right now. But we'll get used to
Yeah.
it, and it'll be.
As
I do
someone
think
said,
it's cool.
I wish they'd just show the full number. It
Could be cool.
Yeah, just show the full number,
just-
and then
it's
also
easier.
have the
Have
also
the
have the
gems.
portraits and gems.
Yeah.
Because that's really what was throwing me off. Was every
Yeah.
time I'd think I'd figure it out, I would see like the number. It was weird.
At the
because
very least, you could change the color scheme as well. Like right now, it's not too intuitive how it jumps across. Like you'd pretty much have to memorize the color sequence to even be able to quickly look at someone's and get it. But if you did like, from green to blue to purple to yellowish orange, that's your typical, common, rare, epic, legendary sequence. That would have made sense to me.
Yeah, I just think if they were trying to do it to hide the actual player level in the like loading screens and stuff, so people didn't get scared. I mean, technically, you can figure it out by the look, and so if there's a way to figure it out, why not just make it what it is?
True.
Like that's my only point. I mean, really, it's just I don't want to look at someone's thing and go, okay, so they have a yellow, which is like the last one, or was it the middle one, and they've got two gems, so that's over 1,000, right? And it's a
hmm
56. Yeah, it just
Well, see-
just or oh look, they're 1156. Cool, that's great.
The problem with it, though, the problem with showing it at all, frankly, is just the fact that you could get in a game where someone at 500 something could see someone at 400 something level wise and be like, "Oh, well, this guy barely plays at all. What's his deal?" So there's an element there that we'd have to
Yeah.
grapple with as
I'm-
well.
I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
You're always
That
gonna
happens in
run into
Overwatch,
that
though.
issue with this type of system.
Maybe
Yeah.
not this one because Who knows?
Yeah, it's
Too
so
confusing.
convoluted. No one's gonna know.
This guy's like, I have 3 gems, but my number's only 2, and this guy's 97. I guess he's all right. Let's do it.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like a horrible person because in some way, because your mind, once you know the system, your mind kind of starts judging. So like I get in a quick match, I'm just like, oh man, there's only
You judge
other
me because I don't have my gem yet?
That's what I'm saying.
like one
That's
other
the
person
problem.
with 1 gem on my team, and
Yeah.
the other team's got 4 people with gems.
I need like 10 levels, and I'll get my gem.
But yeah,
Right.
it literally makes no bearing on skill. I mean, technically, you would think the more games you would play, the more skill the person would have. But that,
In theory.
in theory, it's fine. In practice, that's not very often
Yeah.
the case.
More
As there's silver
likely,
players with thousands of games played.
and more likely, not in all cases, but that means that player is probably decent with a lot of heroes, but not spectacular with any heroes. In a lot of cases, because to get that many levels, unless you're just playing a crazy amount of games, it means you're probably playing all heroes a significant amount, which is good.
Yeah. So I
Nothing
don't
wrong
know.
with that,
It's-
but yeah.
It's I feel like Blizzard needs to release an article, like an official article about it and like why the reasoning, or maybe even because I like the borders. Keep the art stuff. The art stuff's really cool. I like the border stuff. I like the gems. It gets really fancy actually once you get into the thousands of levels. But at the same time, I mean, I'd like it to either be simplified or them to release some more official stuff on why they did it the way they did.
All right. So we have a few questions here and emails that we'll get to, and we don't have time for a lot. And we already answered a few, but we'll do one here real quick.
You want to do the one?
2 weeks
Got
in
you
a row.
again.
Gotcha.
Got
That
you
bumper
again.
sneaks up on me because we never had it before.
Let's do the one from Dagom.
Daggone?
Dagom.
Okay.
Because that's kind of
So Daggone starts off with a few very minor, all caps on that, things he noticed that are annoying. Colors of the portrait frame. How am I supposed to know what red or teal means? We just kind of covered that a little bit, but
know?
I totally feel your sentiment. Let's see. We need a way to look only at the new things in your collection without having to dig through everything for minutes. And that makes sense. We kind of touched on that a little bit earlier, too.
I do believe somebody said there is a drop down. I don't know if they were talking about in loadouts or the collections tab. So
I need to play around with it a little
Yeah.
more.
Requires some digging, but
Yeah,
yeah.
play around with it a bit.
For sure. Let's see. He says also that why'd you choose the hard question, man? There's other good ones here. We've got Dagome always has the hard-hitting questions though, so
He
this
does.
has been true for some time. He says we need an easier way to see what hero is the nearest to a level.
like the
What do you mean by this?
next hero to level up. That would be a cool way to sort in heroes.
Oh, okay.
If you don't know, like you're not
There
like, oh,
kind
I'm
of
feeling
is.
like
You're
playing
trying to farm
Nazebo
out
right now.
chests.
Yeah, like
Yeah, there
I want
kind of
to.
is.
Let's
If
just
you-
play who else is gonna level up.
If you if you click on your portrait and go to your profile and click the progression tab, it will show you your 3 closest heroes to leveling up on the bottom of it.
Yeah, but it'd be cool just like in your hero selection, it'd be much quicker. Obviously that's
And you can
just,
sort by XP.
Yeah,
there's
but
a-
that sorts by level.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
not necessarily next to level up.
Right.
It would put it in a much easier to read format
Like there
if
should
you
be like
sorted by XP.
it's not something needed, but like an experience till level sort thing. So
Yeah, would be nice for sure. And right now,
More
it's kind of a
options, more
mini game
options,
to find
yeah.
out who the next one is that you want to finish up. Another one, he says the loot dots or coins, I think they're called. When you open up a chest and you see the coins pop up, he thinks they need better coloring. Currently, he thinks they're just like another shade of gray kind of color.
yeah,
And
I kind of agree with that.
it's
I feel that.
there's a couple times I couldn't tell the difference between blue and purple.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I thought that too. So yeah, very good point there. And then another one we did touch on, he's looking for a global toggle for all heroes to only see heroes and that sort of thing that you own within the loadouts, without grouping them. And we kind of touched on that too. Like we see all the locked stuff and it's kind of hard to dig through, and
you can do it per hero now, but so it would just be nice to just turn that on instead of having to. But at the same time,
default.
Hero, they want you when you're playing a hero and going to select your skin to see this skin and make you want to buy it. Let's be honest.
That's kind of true too.
And Spencer HG actually brings up a great point here. In the quest tab, it's going to display your next closest hero to level. It will tell you that and tell you
is it the next closest hero to level or the next closest hero for the loot chest specific hero?
Man.
I think it's the loot chest specific hero because I just had this and I finished it a little earlier today. Johanna was my next hero specific loot chest in the quest tab.
Yeah, and Azebo's mine, and he's level 29, so that's, I don't know. Well, we'll do some digging.
I bet it's that. I bet it's the quest tab shows the next hero or the closest hero to your next hero specific loot chest.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been 2 hours, and
it's been fine.
We're gonna we're gonna go ahead, and again, we got some more questions. We'll get to those next week, but we're gonna go ahead and get out of here for this week because it as much as we could just talk about heroes end on end, sometimes you just got to go.
Yep.
Sometimes you just got to go. I got work in the morning.
You just got to play it too.
Yeah, and play it. So before we go, though, Multi, where can we be reached?
Oh, I'll be quick. We can be found in-game by typing /join space LOTS, or you can join our Discord, which is sticky to the top of our Twitter, at Lords of the Storm. We're also on twitch.tv/Lords of the Storm, live Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Central. We're also on facebook.com/Lords of the Storm podcast. You can email us with feedback or questions or, actual Word documents with questions for us to fill out and send back to you at lordsofthestorm@outlook.com. We also, of course, love any sort of feedback in the form of iTunes reviews, Stitcher reviews, that sort of thing. 5-star ones are really cool. And if you really want to help with the show even more beyond that, you could join our Patreon, which is patreon.com/Lords of the Storm, where you can give any amount that you deem appropriate for what we do. Again, we're not... It's all in the name of us just buying ketchup packets.
Yep.
Why packets, you say? You could buy a bottle of ketchup. No, I like the packet form. I just like squeezing it. It's the tactile experience.
For BlizzCon this year, I bet there's some custom site where you can get custom ketchup packets.
Ooh.
Order some Lords of the Storm ketchup packets.
What?
For BlizzCon.
Yes.
Yes. I may actually start liking ketchup. That sounds great.
Let's do it. All right. You can also find us individually, myself, Gizmozord, on all, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, as well as on Convert to Raid Presents, the World of Warcraft podcast featuring all things Blizzard. Very heavy on the 2.0 this last week, which is Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time on twitch.tv/Convert to Raid. Multi, where can you be reached?
I can be found on Twitter at Multizord, and I'd also point you at our sister show, The Cavalry, which is on Twitter at The Cavalry Show. And this is the first week where I had to say I'm not on it this week, but you know what? And so it was kind of hard to listen to in that sense. But I do want to plug.
It's just bad now? Are you saying it's bad?
No, it's good. I'm just saying, for me, I'm sitting there the whole time wanting to throw in little quips. I want to talk about how hot the new police diva skin is and stuff, but I couldn't. It was emotionally challenging.
Okay.
But I do want to plug though. Slambo and his buddy N-Boss, they're known as the Overcasters, are actually going to be casting the Reddit Overwatch Championship #2 this weekend. That's April 29th and 30th. So check that out, twitch.tv/the Overcasters.
Excellent.
Good for them.
Yeah, for sure.
TBK.
You can find me on Twitter at TBKZord and twitch.tv/TBKZord, where I stream randomly. But my one thing that's scheduled is Masters class, Sunday nights, 7 Pacific, 9 Central. Come join us as we learn things.
Learn
Indeed.
all the things.
All the things.
We want to give a special thanks to our patron producer, Ouroboros Sword, for helping support the show. Thank you, as always, sir. Get in, open your loot boxes, let us know what you got. Enjoy the progression. We'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Enough. I shall do no more.
You know, this may only be episode 112.